Are we ready?
We are all here.
We're all here. We're back.
We're back.
But like for the last time for a while, because everybody's going to just break apart and travel until we come back together, right? There's a chance that we could do an on-location podcast at Don Pedro. I'm still out. I don't want to do it. Because the tournament Jake will be there. I'm afraid of the world seeing on camera tournament Jake. According to some of my closest friends and wife, tournament Jake is not something that you would record for unless it was like for amusement or studies. You could study the tournament.
It's not very personable. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think you should put a camera in my face. Tournament Jake has one mode, and that's why Bryant and I have a relationship forged in, I don't know, frustration. That's why our relationship is so strong, because you made it through the tournament Jake years. It's not like you made it like, well, you were like flexible enough to put up with tournament Jake. No, you made it as in you're still alive and can walk. You know what I'm saying? It's like beating on the camper door, like, we need coffee. I want coffee now. Yeah. How come we don't have enough mayo? Yeah. How come we don't have enough mayo?
Tournament Jake is easy to deal with because you just sit back and enjoy the show.
You are listening to the AlphaBassCast with Jake Boomer, Brian Smith, and Bo Fletcher.
Tonight's cool because we got Mark Lassagne, who we've been talking about getting on. We've been talking about getting a lot of people on. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, the list keeps growing.
We always talk about people.
I had a conversation with Colby Pearson today, and he told us he loves listening and watching us. And I told him he was crazy, but I think he's somewhere on the short list.
He'd be good. I like it. His insane mental focus lately has been something to pay attention to. Definitely to get on camera. So, but Mark is getting ready to launch the first Super 60, so I think it's kind of timely that we have him. I mean, we can at least be doing a mental check. So let's get him and like check his mental status. Well, I mean, like,
blink twice if you're okay.
That's so true. Like, not only did he like dive in head first, but he like doubled. Like, everything he's done this year is either doubled or tripled. It was either he decided to double and triple it, or it happened to him. And so, like, I don't see two Marks. I don't see this massive staff of people behind him. So I have a belief that we can ask him. But I got a feeling he's sitting like, what did I just do? What? Wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Last year he dove in head first. This year he decided to tie a couple bricks to his feet.
Yeah. Last year he was diving in. This year he found out the pool doesn't have any water in it. It's going to land on his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think, like, I think it's good. I mean, we talk to him all the time because I've already fished 2 of his tournaments this year, and we're in March. You know what I mean? And like, nobody's fishing. Our first tournament in the Northwest is this Saturday. Well, there might have been one before that. I think there was one on Lake Washington. They might start a week or 2 early, but like, we're not even in like go time season. Like, go get them. Like,
and he has already ran 3 events, 2 pro-ams and a kayak event.
Yep.
Yep.
And he's going to have a Pro Tour event next week, which we're all heading down to. And so, yeah, by the time June hits, he'll have ran more tournaments probably than all of last year, you think? With everything that he added. He added the Northwest Division, so June. That's the first one's in June.
I mean, between now and then, yeah, he's got another 4 events.
The question we need to ask him is, how many tournaments do you plan on fishing? Maybe let's not ask him that.
Come on, that's insult. That's adding insult to injury.
Yeah, like asking him how many hours are on his boat.
I haven't turned it on yet.
He's at the bottom of the empty pool rubbing his head, and you threw a bucket of water on him.
Yeah, let's not do that. I have been talking to a lot of people about all the stuff going on both sides. And, you know, like, we're all pro West Coast, but Brian's on both sides. But I even talked to a couple of MLF buddies today about the way things are going, and things kind of seem to settling down a little bit. And hopefully guys will start I mean, like, just getting back to fishing is what I hope. I know the drama will always be there, but it kind of sounds like, and Brian, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the beginning of this year on both sides has been pretty positive.
It has. There's definitely a big shift on the Elite Series from what I've seen. Everybody, it's just they're putting rules in place that we wanted. They're communicating with the anglers and they're upholding the rules. So it's kind of been a win-win. And I think a lot of that drama stuff starts after, like, it is every single time after the Elite Series, the last event of the Elite Series. It's like people freak out because there's not going to be any more big tournaments to watch. And then everybody just goes to the computer and starts typing for 5 months until tournament season rolls around again. Once tournament season rolls around again, everybody's too busy fishing. They don't worry about so much what's going on Facebook. But it's at least the past 2 years, it's been every single time the Elite Series season has stopped. It has ramped up beyond belief.
Tell us about how many polygraphs they're doing an event.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 polygraphs an event. Each event, they take one guy who didn't make the third day cut, 3 guys that did take. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about this, but whatever.
Could you get
3 guys
polygraphed and kicked out of the elites for this podcast?
Probably.
Wouldn't that be priceless?
But it won't be for
Sonic Blam's last stand.
It'll be because they just don't want to be embarrassed by me anymore.
Oh, they'll be like, wait, whoa, you were on what podcast? Yeah. You're DQ'd.
That's banned.
We don't even need to give
at least 4 countries.
You're talking about
we don't need to
polygraph
him. He's done.
Yeah, but it's cool. You know, it's nice to have them putting in effort to make sure everybody's on an even playing field. So I think it's definitely scary. I mean, you never know what could happen. False positive. You know, you heard something you shouldn't have, whatever. But I know, at least for me, I have nothing to worry about. I've always been, by the book. I idle 4.9 miles an hour through no wake zones most of the time, unlike some people. We won't get into that story.
I watched David Walker one time.
That wasn't in a tournament, by the way.
I watched David Walker in a tournament, and he was idling, and he was mad. And he's like, what did he say? He goes, I'd rather run 10 minutes than idle for 5. And he's so 100%. Right. Like, I hate idling.
Worst thing. It is the worst thing in the world. But yeah, everything, even on, from the guys I talked to on the MLF side out here, everybody's just excited to go fishing again. So it's definitely trending in the right direction.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I always thought like spring should be like when you're just ready to go. And I always kind of have this vision that, well, you have winter off kind of, especially in the Northwest. And you're just you'll have so much spare time that when spring comes, you'll be just waiting for it. But ever since I started Alpha Angler, winter is selling season and recovery manufacturing, like getting your rods back in stock. And spring now to me is chaos. Like I'm behind on everything. Like my boat's not ready. I've done 2 tournaments and my boat's still in shambles. Like I miss the old way of spring where it was like, man, I can't wait for the first tournament to come. And it's not like that right now. I would love to just take 2 or 3 days off. But we have a show this weekend in Spokane actually has their own outdoor show, and I need to be there with Alpha. So it's like every 10 minutes I run out and tie up 2 rods and get some stuff ready. You know what I mean? But I know my goal is to show up at Pedro ready to go. But who knows? I might just have to steal all the baits out of Brian's boat.
You can miss the first day. It'll be fine.
You think so, huh?
Yeah.
Who you gonna follow around?
I don't know. I wouldn't have anybody to cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, you fishing here? Good. Me too.
I'll have my camera running, buddy. I'll You cut me off on camera, I will hit the stop record button, make sure I keep all the video footage, and spin a U like a 180 and head straight to Mark. I need the tournament director.
No, you can't mess with me and my entourage here, okay? I got my crew here.
Oh my God.
It's growing by the show.
Yeah.
The saving grace is that I told you that the girls are coming with me, so there was no room for you to be like, well, I'll just go camp next to you. But like I don't know how we did it for years, but we could take a 9-foot wide camp lot, back a camper in, take the camper off, and somehow stuff 2 trucks and 2 boats in it. And we never got kicked out. That was amazing.
Talent.
It was talent, but I'm sure.
Fortress.
Yeah. We would also always take the ones that were made for like the coach buses.
Yes.
If they were available. I'm sure those coach buses, when they rolled in there and they go into their like extra small camp spot, they see this 9-foot lance sitting there in the middle with nothing around it.
The cramper.
Pissed off.
Oh, that old school, like, because it was so high off the ground that the crapper hose came out, and it was this old red crapper hose that was like, you could see it from 100 miles away. It's a old white camper, and this hose that just came snaking through the freaking plugged right in. Like, those were the good old days, man.
You never know they're the good old days until you pass them by.
The girls did ask, though. They're like, is Bryant going to be there? And I said, yes. I don't know if he'll have supervision, but
I won't. No, but I'll take him to the Chicken Ranch Casino. We'll do some gambling. We'll do all that fun stuff.
We're taking them to the Chicken Ranch.
Teach them some craps.
Yeah.
I wonder how that works. Like, they're not allowed to be within 5 foot of one of those little gaming machine things.
They got to stay on the path, probably. That's how it is in Vegas.
Gotcha.
You can walk through the casinos, but you can't step onto the carpet.
So is Mark going to join us, Bo?
I mean, I was just waiting for you to finish your trip down memory lane.
Let's
get him in.
Let's carefully interview him, because if there is the chance that he's like unaware of what he's done to himself, let's not like be the group of guys that like ruined BAM. Like, he's like, you're right, like I don't want to be the guy that's yeah, I used to fish more. I didn't have to deal with all you guys.
I don't think he needs us to remind him of any of this.
No,
so we're clear.
Let's not do that. You're right. This is the last year of BAM. You guys have opened my eyes, dude. The BassCast is over. The West Coast.
So much for growing the sport. We killed it.
He might use his platform to sell the damn thing. Oh, what do we know?
Yeah.
Speak of the devil.
Mr. Lassagne.
There he is. Hello, Mark.
Hey, guys.
We were talking about you.
Yes, we were.
I hope you're having fun.
I think that starts things off quite well. Are you having fun?
Am I having fun?
Yeah.
You could say it's a job.
Is it like when you leave your corporate job and they say you leave your corporate job and you work 80 hours for yourself so you can avoid working 40 hours for somebody else? Is that what it's like?
I guess, yeah, you could say that. That's about what it's like, yeah.
Yeah. No, nobody ever told me that. And I was like, yeah, they always said all the good stuff. Man, I make my own schedule and I do all this. If I want to decide to work all day in my shorts, I don't have to get dressed. But nobody ever said that once you start your own business that you have to do everything. You have to be the accountant, and you have to be, you got to do the sales, and you got to do all this. And once it adds up, you might as well quit sleeping, right? I do miss the old days of mailing it in on a Thursday. You know what I mean? Like, man, I just don't feel like working super hard today.
I don't get a call in sick. So that's just the way it is. But I get to choose the 80 hours I work a week. So if I want to go fishing, then I just, I take off and go fishing, and I have to figure out how to carve those rest of those hours into the rest of the week.
Oh, so you're on the eve of the first Super 60. That's next, not very long away. So and you know how we've been talking about it since we started the BassCast. We're all pretty excited. I mean, 4 events to give away $50,000 to the first place for the entry fee that we're paying. I looked back and I do not believe it's ever been done on the West Coast ever since I've been fishing.
Coast, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't think that amount of money.
60 anglers.
Yeah. No, I mean, even when they were giving a lot of money away in the guards, they were opens. So they were wide open. You could have 200 guys. But we are literally the closed field, the same guys, same off limits rules. You know, you're covering the gamut of the West Coast. So I don't think it's been done. So that's pretty cool. Like if you really think about it. I mean, like the MPFL did it, and we were pretty excited about it. But I went back to 2001. I didn't see anything like it. Can anybody prove me wrong on that?
No, I mean the guard paid back pretty good. I think it was around $100,000, but it was a $4,000 entry fee, and it was open to as many anglers as you could take in there.
And right. They also had quite a bit of TV money, right?
Well, they had guard money.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah,
lots of money there.
Yeah,
but those were only. It was only 3 opens, and they were opens, correct?
The guards, yes. The National Guards, the Western ones were opens.
So with all your hard work, you've actually done something new to the West Coast. It's kind of cool. It's cash too. Like I know every angler has opinions about winning things, but as our sport has evolved, I'll take the cash over a boat. I won't turn a boat down if I win it. But I really like, hey, here's your check at the end of your derby, and here's $50,000. I think that's pretty cool.
We don't have to haul it home. You don't have to worry about selling a certificate. You just take it to the bank, put it in the bank, and you're done. So off to the next one.
Yeah. Unless your wife gets that's once my wife gets a hold of it.
There's nothing any of us can do about that.
I just hand my checks to my wife. It's way easier that way. Don't put up a fight.
Yeah, just get
you know where it's going.
That's right.
For sure.
Does your wife have her own account that you can't see? That's got to be kind of concerning.
I don't even question it anymore. I just accept it.
He's like, I don't even
know. Joint account. Got it.
Nah.
He doesn't.
I mean, is it what? It's not money laundering. What is it? What's the other word? The illegal act of taking money out of an account.
Fraudulent. Embezzling. That's what it is.
Embezzling. Yeah. Is it considered embezzling if you're married to the person?
No.
No. Especially
she
in California.
She owns all she wants.
Yeah. She owns half of everything plus extra.
Yeah. She owns one half of it and the other half. So
I'm ready to start grilling you, Mark. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Now we got a list of tough questions, but I'm just kidding. I kind of want to go back. I want to go over the story because there was a point in time when the other league that we won't mention kind of fell apart, and we were all kind of in like, what the heck, man? And I had actually just quit the MPFL because I qualified for Apex, and I thought I was going to travel a little less because my daughters are getting older, and I was excited about Apex, and then bang, I said we were going to talk about it, but said it. And then it was gone, and I remember talking to you because there was this rumor like, maybe BAM will look at doing something. And I remember talking to you on the phone, and you're like, no, oh no. But then, like 2-3 weeks later, there was an announcement. So, like, what changed? Did you hit your head on something?
The first part was to take over them, and it was a bunch of money, and then there was a bunch of money owed, and it didn't make sense. So we worked around a little bit, and a couple guys kept hounding me and trying to figure out a way to make the deal work. And so basically, what happened, what we came down to is that I could purchase the equipment, only the equipment, and then rebrand it and build our own tour. And the money seemed okay. I don't think I stole the stuff, but I didn't pay retail price for it. So it seemed like, well, this will work. And then I thought about, what I can do with the magazine and everything, and kind of got coerced into it, about how great, it's going to be and how great everything's going to, end up, and this is going to be wonderful. And, and then it was like, okay, all right. Well, once I say, for me, once I commit and say, okay, I might as well just do it, because I said I was going to do it. So I did it. I bought the equipment and brought it home, and then had to figure out how to do bass tournaments. So, which has been a arduous task. Trying to figure it out, because I've been to a lot of tournaments. Like you guys, been to a whole lot of them. Just like you fished with fishing rods before, and now all of a sudden you got to make fishing rods. Well, it's a whole different ball game when you're trying to go from the back end rather than being just on the front end. So it was it was crazy figuring out how to set up the stage, how to get all the personnel and who I need to run different things, and set the scale up, get a MC, and figure out how to weigh the fish. Every event is different. How to have the people come up, where to put the release boat. We had to rebuild the release boat just to make it so it'd work. Fortunately, I had some help there with a lot of things, but just a big giant infrastructure. There's been like challenges every step of the way. That I had to figure out. But fortunately, we've been getting through
them. Did you? Well, obviously, like we all knew it was going to be a mountain of work, and the more that like this goes on, and we kind of get to see behind the scenes once in a while how much it is. Like, did you think it was going to be this much work? And I say that knowing that this second year, when I looked at your numbers, you've tripled in almost everything. You doubled in your biggest payout, or you doubled in your biggest in the Super 60, but almost all your other numbers are trending at 2 and 2.5%. That's just more anglers, more personalities, more money. I mean, all of it has gone up. More sponsors to keep happy, all that kind of stuff. Did you think it was going to look like this? Did you?
Well, when I first started, I didn't realize it was going to be nearly as much work as it is. It's crazy the amount of things that you have to do to put on a bass tournament. I don't think anybody that has never done it could ever understand. It's been a 7-day a week, 12-hour job for a couple of years, just about now. Started in July, right after I cast, and as soon as I got home, feet hit the pavement, and I've been going at it ever since. I don't regret it. I think it's pretty cool. It's going well. I don't. So for the business end and how we've grown, I really don't. It's not rocket science, right? It's like if you build a good rod and you do a good job marketing, and you get it in the hands of the right people, more people are going to buy it. It's gonna happen. So same thing with the tournament circuit. You do a good job, you put on a good show, you do a good job for the anglers, you have a good presence, you have a good payback, and pretty soon they're gonna come. They're gonna realize, hey, this is the real deal. It's it's straight up. There's no bull. I'm super transparent, probably too transparent at sometimes. But I think, just doing the thing the right way, the way that you would want to be treated, when you go to a tournament, I've been an angler for a long time. So when I go to a tournament and I see the anglers, I kind of see how they're being treated. And I want to treat those anglers how I would want to be treated. And I think that shows, because I care. And within that, it's helping the circuit grow.
I was going to mention that, and you took the words right out of my mouth. You have an incredible attention to detail, right? And I've seen it. And you look at how your events are run and how each one is improved from that first event you held 17 months ago, something like that, right?
Yeah, Shasta in February.
Yeah. So, okay. So 13 months ago, you ran your first tournament. To think about how far you've come just in a year. And I wanted to ask, like, if your experience as an angler, seeing it on the other side, do you think it is kind of a double-edged sword? Like, it's given you an advantage know what kind of experience you want to see for all of us anglers. But also, I sometimes wonder if it's what makes you beat your head against the wall a little harder than maybe others, is the fact that you want to give this different experience because you've been through it.
I think so. I think, since I've been through it, I can see, and I see what I want to do and how I want to bring it to the anglers. It's frustrating because I can't do more. I mean, I want to do more. And every time I turn around, I see something like, oh, I could do that better. I could do, bring this and do a better job at this. Um, Guys probably don't see it on the outside. Most people are like, hey, everything's going great. You're running a great tournament. And and I'm thinking in the background, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Um, I think it's going well. I think we still have a lot that we can improve on. I don't, maybe it doesn't show on the outside, but, internally, I think there's a lot of things we can do better, better with sponsors, better with, money and payout. I mean, I'd love to be able to pay out like the PGA, and have, get some big sponsors and be able to pay guys, a lot more than what they're getting. So it'd be nice if guys weren't fishing for their own money. I mean, we've been doing that, ever since it began. Every circuit we're fishing for our own money. Even, with the Elite Tour, with the new payout, their initial payout was a little rough, and then anglers, came in with put some more money of their own money in for entry fees, which I think is working out. But it would be great to have, some like really big money sponsors, some, high 6, low 7-figure sponsors to be able to really pay guys. I think what it'll take is that we need to figure out how to have a great audience, how to get those sponsors in and build a good audience.
I think that the sport will figure it out. Whoever figures it out first, it won't be very long before the other guys do. And everybody has an opinion on, the consumability of our sport. We're all on the water for so long, it's really hard to get people to. It's not like, March Madness it's on, right? It's 2 hours, it's exciting, you see another one. We're on the water for 8 hours, and most of the people won't, it's anyways. If you solve that problem, I'm glad I'm glad we're fishing payout. But I think our sport is evolving.
I mean, it means a lot to me that guys are fishing, and I mean, I get a little hurt when like my friends aren't fishing. It hurts me because I think I'm trying really hard. It's not like there's any cloak and dagger stuff going on. I mean, I'm trying really hard to put on a good show, and I think even the people that are sitting on the sidelines, or a lot of people sat on the sidelines last year, and then they're come on board this year, and I think it's going to continually grow, and more people are going to come and realize that we're doing a good job, and we're the event that to fish. And as that grows, sponsors will grow, things will happen, and everything will get better.
I think you can tell it's pretty obvious from your boat numbers last year to boat numbers this year. You're definitely trending in a very, very good direction. You got a lot of momentum behind you. How do you keep that going? How do you keep growing it at a good, steady rate and keep picking up anglers?
I think payout is one, and then also working with the anglers and really trying to figure out what they want. What do you guys want? Is a championship with a boat, with a no entry fee championship where everybody gets paid, where we give away a boat? Is that like the deal? Or guys are like, no, I'd rather get more money in the top 10 and not get a boat. I'd rather get cash, or I'd rather see this big giant championship. I don't know exactly. I know what I would want, but I'm not the masses. So I want to figure out what the masses want, and tailor the BAM trail to meet the needs of most of the anglers. Really our goal is to make as many people happy as possible.
What would you want, Mark? What's your vision?
What's my vision?
I want to take a step back. You're trying to keep a bunch of bass fishermen happy. It's many of them.
Yeah.
Can we pick a percentage for you that you should just call success? You know, like 90% is not. Yeah, like if you can get 62% of the bass fishermen happy, I would consider that a monumental win.
That's
just saying.
Probably good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bo, my vision is to build the best bass tournament that was ever on the West Coast. That's vision one, to do that. Vision two is to build bass fishing on the West Coast. To work with the kids and the kids on up to everybody to let these guys experience bass fishing, and tournament fishing, and get more and more people involved into it. And I think we do that through media. Fortunately, we have a pretty good media presence, and I think that's making a big difference.
That kind of put the target on your back from your buddies, I think, because I'm sure there was a couple different guys that could have started the league after Apex folded,
right?
But I'm sure everybody's looking around going, "Wait a minute, for this thing to be really successful, we need media, we need coverage, right? We need." And like, you probably couldn't have ran away from the mob that was like, well, who would that be? What guy?
Yeah.
Like, the list was pretty short, and they're like, I know this guy. Did you get like lots of offers? Hey man, you want to go out for a beer? Or guys buying you dinner? Was it kind of like was the courting like kind of sneaky where they're like, I got this idea.
Yeah, it was kind of sneaky, Nobody else has a print magazine on the West Coast. No other print magazine owner fishes bass tournaments, especially as many as I fish. And they didn't have the media resources. Our Facebook has 130,000. We have 60,000 on YouTube and 30-something thousand on Instagram. So our numbers are good. I don't know anybody else that could have brought a media source, without spending a lot of money to the West Coast.
Yeah, we talked about it actually. MPFL had to buy in, and they actually funded another media company. When they started, they had to fund a media company, or the tournaments would have never gone. You would have never seen anything about it. Now they've done such a good job, but the media part of it is so big that if you don't actually have it, you could be running the greatest tournaments in the world, but there's no way to get it out. So you were kind of maybe the only guy that could have done it on the West Coast at the level that I think, at the growth rate you're at right now, you're probably the only one that could have done it. And you said something earlier I wanted to ask you, but you want to grow the sport, but you have a limit in the pro-ams at 100 boats, right?
I do right now, yes. We have a limit at 100 because I think if we get many more than 100, right now I don't think we can do a good job for the anglers. Once we get more than that. Once we start maxing out, then we'll figure out how to facilitate more than 100 anglers.
Did you think that Shasta at 132 was pushing it, or how did you feel like Shasta went?
Well, with the closure of one day, it made it pretty rough because we had to weigh everybody on the last day, and the last day is clean up and pack up, and so that took a couple extra hours, out of the day. So that part was rough. At 130 boats, which we had 200 and something anglers, we had to go through those anglers pretty fast. So I'd rather not go through the anglers that fast and give them all, a little bit of time up on stage if we can. That's important, not to everybody, but to a lot of anglers, it's important to get up there, show your sponsors, and at least say hi to your friends and family, and maybe talk about a sponsor or two. So I think that's important. When you get to 200 anglers, really hard to give any time at all.
Perspective that I don't think tournament organizations ever think about.
Consider.
They're turn and burn. How you doing? Good job.
Yep. Weigh your fish. Here's your ticket. Yeah.
Or it's the other way around. You're weighing in the dark.
Yeah. They don't see anybody in the weigh-in line. So, we're going to talk to you for about 25 minutes until somebody else shows up with a bag of fish. But I think that's, just a perfect example of what sets you apart and why you're having the success with BAM is you think about it in a totally different perspective than most tournament organizations.
Well, and I got to tip my hat to Ed. Like he ran through those 200 plus guys, and he still somehow, I don't know how, but he still somehow figured out how to interact with people through that process.
Yeah. He was like pushing, like, good job, great. Like you felt his hand in your back, like get off the stage.
But he was still able to ask people questions. And I'm like, how is he even engaging people right now? Like, I don't know how his brain just didn't melt up there.
That's a tough job. I mean,
yes,
I get criticism about him, here and there, but honestly, it's hard to talk about, each person when you have 50 or, 100 people. It's hard to come up with something about every single person. So, Ed has kind of a dry sense of humor. So sometimes that comes out and he maybe rubs people wrong, wrong sometimes. That's just Ed, and that's just the way, it's kind of the way it is. But overall, he does a good job.
That's what makes him good at what he does, I think.
Yeah, he's not getting fired anytime soon, so don't worry, Ed.
It's better to have a personality up there than somebody who's really just filing through all the anglers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, how many tournaments do you watch and they go 12 pounds, 8 ounces, and maybe they don't even say their name. Next guy, 10 pounds, 2 ounces, and they're going and they're just shoveling through them. And, it's not, I think that we need to have a show, a production of sorts.
Yeah. Well, and like everybody, like my kids and wife watch it all the time. Like, my daughter was like in her study hall at one of the weigh-ins, and she had it on her phone, and all of her friends were watching. Like, people watch this stuff that you don't think do, especially like they're watching it because of somebody in there as one of their, their husband or whatever, and so they watch it. But then if you add all the people up that watch, I bet your weigh-ins get quite a few views.
Yeah, I think so. The web guy, Josh and Lindsay have done a great job. Thomas, with the live, putting the stats right up on screen and the top 10, and the results are up. If they're not instant, they're up in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And most organizations, you have to wait like hours, or sometimes it's not even until the next morning. You're like, how did I do? Where am I at? What do I need to make the top 10? And am I going to get a check? Well, and with BAM, boom, you got it right there, and and so that was one of the things that I was critical for me, is like, hey, we need this right now. So that's kind of one of those things that I think sets us apart from the other tours.
Yeah, you're so good at it that when I didn't show up on the standings at Pedro, I always thought you were messing with me. Like I checked like 3 times. I was not in. Like, you're like, no, you're in there. You're in top. You're gonna cash a check. But then every time I refreshed it, it didn't show up. And so then Bray was like, I don't see you. And I'm like, Mark's messing with me. He's getting me back for giving him a hard time all the time. Kicked me out of the time. I got DQ'd. I didn't even know it.
Well, sometimes, so on the back end, and they're working on it in Alabama, they have to cache the system, otherwise it won't update. But like when you look at it on the screen, Thomas is entering those numbers in, so those are all live. And on the website, sometimes they have to cache, so it may take sometimes a couple minutes, or if she grabbed a sandwich or something, it might take a minute to cache the results.
I still think you were messing with me, but I deserve it probably.
I do. If I thought about it, I would have been, but.
Yeah, if he had time to think about messing with you.
Right.
So somebody told me one time, and I got to bring this up because it's funny to me about people, but somebody said something about, this person or that person, and they should be replaced. It's like talking about Ed. Like, our sport is cool and everything, but you get somebody that starts complaining, the BS Vortex, and that would go this guy and this guy. And I'm like, it's not like what Ed does is like, you just put it on Craigslist. Like, we're looking for a replacement or anybody, like somebody that knows how to run tournaments and that skill set. That is a very tiny skill set that you don't just put on, hey, looking for a new MC to run bass tournaments. Like, there's not a pool of people waiting to do that job. It's not easy. I remember when they tried to get, was it Mick or whatever to do the Wild West, and he's like, I think I can do this.
Wild West went through a few of them.
Yeah,
he didn't last
not
very
easy.
long,
Randy
too.
McBride was good. Yeah, but like somebody's like, well, yeah, they need somebody who's like that can do this or do that when they just look from the outside looking in. And I'm like, this is a very specialized group of people, like what Thomas does and Lindsay, and like it's not like this is, well, we'll just go hire somebody. Last week they were bagging groceries and now they're running the back end of this. You know what I mean? I don't think people get that. It's not like, I don't know. It's all all very centralized, and it's all very specific to our sport. And our sport's not as big as we wish. If it was bigger, it probably would have PGA money, but we're still trying to grow it. But that's my rant about that.
Yeah, it's like Michael. Michael does a great job, but you can't just go out on Craigslist or whatever and hire a tournament director.
No.
What would be your qualifications?
It takes a while, I mean, if they're not in the industry, it takes even longer. But if somebody that's in the industry, like, one of you anglers could catch on, much quicker, but still would be a big learning curve.
And you can't fish. Like, what are you going to put on there?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't fish.
You've got these guys who are all love fishing. Ed loves fishing. Michael loves fishing. Mark, you love fishing. And none of you are fishing. And so, like, add that to the whole equation.
Don't remind him.
I mean, you add that to the equation, and that's where I have so much respect for all of you that are involved in running this, because, like, yeah, it takes special talent, but there's also a passion for this that is on a very different level that I think is awesome. Like, we wouldn't have it if it wasn't for all of you.
Yeah. I'm just glad we don't have to think about it. That was kind of when that failure happened last year, that end of the year or whatever, 23 or whatever, that was by that time I couldn't qualify for anything else that was going on because I had given the beginning of the year up for those first two tournaments and I couldn't qualify for any of our local stuff. So I hopped around and did weekend club derbies for like 6 months. If I had to do it again, I'd probably leave the sport. Like I love doing that stuff. I love popping in, doing them, but when it didn't feel like you were going anywhere, you're just going to one lake to the next lake, which I don't know. That was a hard year because you kind of felt like you were in limbo. But I volunteer. Go ahead.
I was gonna completely change the subject. So you were talking too much. Not that you don't have enough on your plate already, but is there anything coming up next? Is there any ideas or anything you got coming down the pipe that might be exciting for the West Coast? Maybe a team circuit?
I do. I plan on putting on 2 more events next year in 26 in the desert, like Mojave and Havasu, maybe Martinez, Havasu. So I plan on going to those out in that area for 2 events, and then having Pacific Northwest, West, and then a desert or a Southwest region pro-ams.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Pro-ams, and then for punishment.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, I ideally, I would partner with somebody that, was like a CEO kind of person, and to help, that would help me kind of structure everything. And I think I would be like a great operations manager. I don't think I'm a great CEO. I get by and do what I have to do, but it'd be great to have like a CEO kind of person in there. Then I step down a little bit and handle operations and handle some of the different things. So in an ideal world that would happen, or we'd partner with another big circuit, and somehow work it together where the West Coast was still similar to what it is now, but maybe with better payout, better championships. So there's a lot of what ifs or maybes or, thinking about. And so right now I'm just trying to do the best job we can, trying to make as many people as happy as possible, pay back as much as we can, expand as much as we can, and, do a good job.
That the idea of partnership or the idea of any of that kind of stuff, like in our very first podcast, Polinick brought it up, like this could be a feeder circuit, but it would have to be successful first for that to ever be an option. And so that's what's exciting about kind of the road you're on, because there is a chance that can come back. The one thing I've noticed is that BAM is getting noticed. I'm actually having a meeting tomorrow with Suzuki about the West Coast, about contracts and stuff like that. But they're actually paying attention to us having a league that's outside of what the whole East Coast just looks at the two main leagues. But they're actually interested in what's going on over here, and that we're revitalizing a little bit of what they might have thought was dying. It's not dying. It's actually growing. And that's really good. My sponsors they see that. You have to explain it. Like some of them are going to be like, yeah, nobody else is over here, but there's still guys fishing. We're still having 100 boat tournaments. We're giving 50 grand away in a couple days. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's cool stuff. And if you didn't do it, there'd be no opportunity. They'd never look over here again. I don't think they would ever come back without something successful drawing them, like them seeing, oh yeah, it can work. Fishing isn't dead in the West. I actually think we're growing faster than some of the stuff on the East Coast.
I think there's a lot of people out here that fish for bass. Probably there's a lot more fish for bass than fish bass tournaments. And then there's also a lot of tournament anglers that are, kind of stopped doing it. It was really cool about Shasta and also Pedro is that, we saw quite a few anglers that haven't been out there doing it for a while, jumping back in and fishing. And so, I really want the tour guys to get excited. Go, oh yeah, I'm fishing the BAM Trail. That really makes me feel good when that happens. And it's not about the money or the fame. It's really about just building bass fishing and doing a good job for all the anglers.
Yeah. Well, and I know
retired and just fishing every day.
What fun would that be, Mark?
I was gonna say,
no challenge there.
A lot of people wouldn't think that. No.
I get bored.
Yeah. Yeah. They say retired people that, like, after they retire, like after they really quit their job and retire, they don't have a very long lifespan. So this is actually better. They say that when you just retire and just fish every day or golf every day, that you quit using. No, this is true. Like, there are people that work their whole lives and retire at 65. And the average of those people that work like a normal 40-hour-a-week job and then retire, like their whole life that they've waited for this moment, they have like some of the lowest lifespans because they're so used to going. And then the way they stop, they just break down, right?
Does that mean that Bryant,
like 8 years?
Does that mean Bryant won't make it to 40?
Means he'll live till he's 100.
Oh,
he's not going to retire, but he's never really been employed.
He didn't have to retire. Oh man!
Yeah, he never set himself up for one way or the other. He's just cruising.
That's right. Don't you forget it.
Yeah. I was going to say, Mark, also, another thing that would probably drive you nuts, but the Northwest it motivates me quite a bit because we needed something, and we had a ton of Northwest guys that came down to the first Shasta because you doubled that qualifier. I thought that was awesome. And you have no plans of ever leaving the Northwest, right, Mark? It's a loaded question.
We just started going to Northwest.
I know that was loaded.
No, I don't have any plans of leaving it. I think it's a viable fishery, and there's a lot of people up there that do fish. And if we can just break these guys out of them worrying about other people stealing their spots, I think we can get a whole bunch more people out there fishing.
It'll happen. We talked about it a while ago, but Northwest guys don't have pro-ams. Like we don't have them up here. One of the biggest ones, or I don't know, in the last 2 or 3 years, independent pro-ams, Russ Baker's been throwing them. So a lot of these guys don't live in that world. Where in California, like if you wanted team tournaments have always kind of held that second tier to pro-ams. Was that always like that? Like for as long as you can remember, that you guys have always had a strong
it
pro-am
used to be
circuit?
all pro-ams. You know, it used to be
Yeah.
West Coast Bass and then Western Bass and One Bass, and those were the ones everybody fished those. And then you also, whatever circuit you fished, usually fished one of their team trails also.
But the teams were kind of secondary, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see, it's completely opposite in the Northwest. So that's why this is cool. And that's why this first Potholes tournament coming up in June, I think will be a little bit like that. You'll get a little bit of that, but I think the excitement around it and the fact that people are going to want to qualify for the Super 60, there'll be guys showing up. They're going to come. But you're going to have co-anglers that think they can stand on the front of the boat. Like that's happened to me before. They're like, we don't both just fish from the front. I'm like, no, just because we don't have it. It's just not as common.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hammers up here, really good fishermen. So, but I think once we kind of get over that hump, if we can keep coming back, keep and have a qualifying Northwest thing, the numbers will get quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, I think so. We went to Boardman last year, and the numbers were okay. They'll probably be a little better at Potholes and Boardman again than they were this year. And then next year, I think when people see that we're out there, what we're doing, how we're putting on the event, I think we'll get more and more people. So,
yeah, it's really cool.
Well, and it's kind of neat. I think what I'm seeing here. So you're talking about doing a desert thing next year. We're growing the Northwest. There's a California thing. I mean, it seems to me clearly there's a method to your madness here, because obviously the pie in the sky is the pro tour. There's good money behind it. The media is there, and now you're truly, I think that's something that I always, being from the Northwest, it was something that I always saw, that like, yeah, there were these West Coast circuits, but they were very Northern California focused, right? And now it looks like we're starting to finally see an opportunity for guys to focus in their areas, to be able to build into something that, to that, to be able to fish on that level. It really branches it out and makes it feel like something that's truly West Coast representative. I mean, Jake, you've done the research. Has there been an opportunity that spans across the West Coast like this
Nope.
that's ever been before?
It's one of the reasons I left. It's one of the reasons that's how I met Bryant, and I'm like, let's go fish somewhere else, because our circuits were Shasta. How'd it go? It was either Shasta, Havasu, Clear Lake, and Delta. It was just this big circle, and all of us Northwest guys, all the Arizona guys, they'd get maybe a Havasu or something like that, but it was really just that cycle, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. And that was a lot, because even Shasta's 11 hours for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Havasu's 21. Once in a while, you'd get, the oddball thrown in there. But that circle kind of just bred this really tough core group of guys, and it was really hard to feel like you were one. It really, when I was traveling down to those events, it felt like I wasn't learning very much, because they were so kind of far off a norm. But it also just didn't feel like it was ever going to be anything different. You know what I mean? It's like, I would love you guys to come up to the river. I'd love one tournament to come up to the river. And when that first one did, I was like, this is awesome. And then I think the river kept growing. So have you, Mark, seen, I'll tell you this story. So when MPFL started, they promised us West Coast guys, if we travel across the country by the second year, they were going to have West Coast events. Remember this, Bryant?
Really?
They promised us. And they tried that whole year, they were going to do it, and they said they're like, the people on the West Coast don't even care about fishing, and the cities don't want to help. And I'm like, I don't think it's that way, but I think what they're used to is you just call Hartwell and they're like, how many are you bringing? Here's your weekend, here's the money you need, right? It's not that way here. But have you been getting pretty good response from the cities and the places you're going to support BAM?
It's it's an education process where we have to show them, the kind of media that we can bring to their community, not only economic impact direct, from the event, but, before, during, and after the event, the economic impact for that area. So, a lot of the cities, they're seeing, we're getting several to come on board. I think that's kind of our niche. I think is to get the cities on board, and then that helps with each event. Because the way BAM runs events is way more expensive than the mom and pop and the team tournaments and those things. So the Super 60 event at Pedro, I'm bringing like 12 or 13 guys. Right, I bring my trailer, a release boat. We have side by side carts. We're putting it on at the Chicken Ranch Casino Resort. Big to do there. So it's it's a lot. It's a lot, and plus we're doing a TV show. So I got the camera crew. We got 3 camera boats. We have 4 camera people at this event. So it's without community support, we either not do it or we'd be paying back like 60%, where that wouldn't work.
Right. So obviously they are helping that. I think
so the answer to the question is we are seeing some coming along, but it is an educational process.
Right. Hopefully I heard some rumors of a couple areas that we're thinking. So hopefully next year it keeps going and we get to kind of expand. I know with 70 in the Pro Tour or in the Super 60, it's harder to go to certain lakes, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Like I thought Almanor was awesome, but the logistics for 70 boats at Almanor is probably not possible.
Probably 40 or so is about as many as I think we could have at Almanor. We could probably have a championship there, but I think a Super 60 event. I think the areas that are good, depending on when we went. If we go in spawn time, it might be spread out a little bit more. But if we go pre-spawn, there's just a couple places, on the peninsula and down there where all the fish stack up. So, we'd have like 30 boats in one area. So that wouldn't be good.
No.
So there's a couple times a year that we could have 70, but overall it'd be pretty tough.
So you guys got any more questions? Because I got a good one for him after this.
Go for it.
So
let's hear this.
Every time we talk to you, Mark, you're kind of like a conquistador. Like, well, next year we're going to expand this way, and next year, like, how far are you going to expand? Are you going to start sucking up Texas here, or like New Mexico in the list, or Montana, or like, is there any limit to how far you'll call it West Coast?
It depends on how many events I need to personally go to, because I can only go to so many. And next year when we add 2 more, probably as many as I could go. Alan Gray from MLF goes, "Oh yeah, I did 44 tournaments this year." God. So, but he has a crew that goes out there and takes care of that. So, if I have 2 trailers, so if I had maybe 2 crews, that's where maybe another partner or partnering with somebody, may come into play. Get the capital and the resources to build that up. Then, we could expand more. I'd like to turn Bray, our tournament director, into a full-time job. Right now he's just working all the events and helping me with some social media and things. So, it would be great to have him, full-time.
Let's talk about Bray. How old is he?
6, 25, something like 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something you should know? Just asking.
Well, he's 20. He's like mid-20s. Yeah,
he's in his 20s.
Good, because anything under 40, I'm like, yeah, he's in his 20s or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's so far away from me. So
I remember meeting him when he was kind of just, he was kind of just running around doing whatever they wanted help with at Wild West, and then he got into Simpson University, and now he's he's your tournament director. I think, isn't he the coach over at the university now as well?
Coach at the university also, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to see, and he has to deal with all of us knuckleheads. And I think, for a 20-something-year-old kid, he does a pretty bang-up job.
He does a good job. Yeah, and I'm way more compassionate, I guess, or lenient So it's good. He's a good, mirror to me, because he's like, this is the way that it is. I'm like, okay, go ahead, Michael, you take care of it.
You
He's
feel all the calls after
You
you
don't
say
feel
this.
you don't feel bad a little bit of like he's sent a baby duck to the wolves, like yeah, hey man, stand your ground. There's 10 of those guys over there. Go talk to them.
I told him, I told him I have his back. So
Yeah.
there was one tournament, and he was telling anglers, go back to your boat. There's too many people in line. And then a couple of them gave him some crap. And I was like, hey, that's not going to work. I go, Michael, I got your back. So then I had to go talk to those anglers and, tell them they need to get their ass back to their boat. So, I wear my emotions on my sleeve sometimes. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad, but, a little bit of a hothead. I try not to be, but, things get tense sometimes at these events.
Fisherman, man.
Yeah. You guys all want to just go grab your bags and get in line, and it doesn't matter if there's a spot there or not.
Yeah. Yeah, Bray learned really quick. I'm pretty sure that was one of the last events, and the next day there was not that many bags available. Like you couldn't have bagged your fish because there wasn't any you could grab, and that really slows the line down.
Yeah, Don Pedro guys were going behind the trailer and grabbing bags, and I'm like, where are all these people coming from? Was like, so the next day we hid those bags.
Like,
took care of that.
They're like it's like somebody yelled free beer. They're like an angry mob. We'll find the bags. We'll find bags. There's bags around here somewhere. Yeah. I'm getting in line. Yeah.
It is like herding cats dealing with bass fishing.
It is, yeah.
And I'm one of them. I'm one of those cats. Like, you have to spell it out and underline it twice and highlight it, and then maybe, just maybe, we will listen or understand what you're saying. But
it was funny. I think it was Pedro at the Pro-Am, and Ish Monroe's walking up, and the tank is full. And I told the kid that was doing bags, I go, tell him to get back in his boat. He goes, I'm not telling Ish Monroe that. I laughed. I just laughed. So I went over and told Ish, I go, Ish, you got to wait a couple minutes. Give me a break. It's just really cool. But it was funny. It's kind of like, he probably said the same thing. Bryant was coming up there. I'm not telling him.
Oh. Hey, I didn't say anything.
No, you wanted to
your lip.
I so had a good one too.
I can't believe it. I'm shocked.
You are really on your best behavior tonight. I was like just waiting for it. Like,
I was too. I was like, I had the popcorn.
No,
I'm like, let's go. Where is it?
Hey, we can all grow. Brian.
Sonic
and
Brand is off his game.
I am working on personal growth.
No, you're not. Not with me, you're not.
Anyways, we don't need to wear poor Mark out, because I'm pretty sure you have like a 16-hour day planned for tomorrow.
Well, he's still working on a 16-hour day today.
Tomorrow's not too bad. Yeah, I got a couple meetings tomorrow, and I'm going to go have lunch with Ken Maw, I think.
Oh, we had Ken on.
I'm going to go fishing Thursday, but I got to do a Tourney X lesson while I'm out, so. Because Brett Lieber called me and goes, you going to show me how to use this Tourney X thing? I go, how about the Delta on Thursday? I'll show you. He's
good.
Bring me to your best spots, and then we will figure it out.
Yeah.
We're going to have to catch a lot of fish.
The guys that haven't done it do not understand how fun it is to be able to have keeper count as a technique. I hate when I first started, I'm like, this is dumb. I don't even want to do it. Like, I remember thinking that. By the third event, I'm like, this is pretty cool. It allows you to fish. It allows the day to unfold in a different way that it doesn't in normal tournaments. Super cool. But where I don't envy you and Bray is when you have a big meeting with all of us together, half the guys can't even mute their phones. So add an app to that, and say, hey, you're going to take a picture with your phone. Like, I don't envy you. I mean, I get it. These guys can be taught, but thanks for doing that.
They're gonna have to learn quick. They're gonna have to learn quick at Pedro because there'll be consequences. So
I'll learn how to use the app. If my daughter's got to show me sometimes how to do some of the stuff on my phone, but I'm willing to ask. You know what I mean? But that's
we have a whole new set of rules. I'll key in at Pedro. So
oh, good. I might be late to the meeting. What's my penalty?
DQ.
Just don't show up.
DQ'd.
Just go have a vacation with your family.
Yeah. Well,
go enjoy
I'll look for you. I'll look for you on your paddleboard when I'm fishing.
We line up our vacations to these tournaments, and when I saw this landing on the very first weekend of our spring break for the girls, I'm like, yes, because my wife has seen Maloney's, but they've never been south of. Gosh, I don't even think they've been south of Shasta. So I'm like, you guys, we've got to go. This is gonna be fun. But to do that, I've got to pull off 2 miracles and finals, and so it'll be a mad dash to get down there. So you might get a phone.
Camper? Are you gonna camp there? Or are you gonna stay at
Fleming?
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Which is always super cool because then the girls can come to all the weigh-ins and stuff like that. But the trip down will be I'm going to set a land speed record with a 10-foot camper. I promise you that.
Well, just have them tether the laptop to their cell phone. They can get their finals done on the way there.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
He's a problem solver.
He is.
That's right. Yeah, he is. Sounds like he's been working with a bunch of anglers with a bunch of complaints for the last 6 months.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, just get your Starlink out and better be to that meeting.
Yeah, we'll do that. So
Mark, are you excited about next week? I mean, this is a big milestone for you, right? Like,
it's
it's 9 days away.
It's a job. I'm excited. I'd be way more excited if I was fishing, but yeah, I'm excited to put it on and give away a $50,000 check. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's going to be a fun event, but it's an event. Anybody that's put on an event before knows that it's a lot of work. I mean, I've been working on my meeting talk. You wouldn't think, oh, meeting talk. Oh, how long are you going to talk? A couple of minutes. Well, I've been working on it like a few hours, and then I write up one for Bray that he works on, and then he works on his meeting talk. And so, it's just, there's a lot, we have the meet and greet and how, herd all you guys into the meet and greet and, make sure everybody's there and everything's done. And
I'm glad you left Jake out of that meet and greet so people actually show up.
No, only when it's time to buy beer, I'll bring Jake in. So other than that.
At least you know what he's good for.
He's figured it out. This is good.
That's right.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be like a pretty structured meet and greet, I think, and then hopefully we'll have most all the anglers down there. We're gonna set up a photo wall. We'll do photo pictures or profile pictures, and do stuff. I mean, it's at the Chicken Ranch Casinos, which is, man, it's a super nice place. If you haven't been there, treat yourself to go there. It's fun. Your wife like it, the kids, everybody. It's just a beautiful place, great food, super clean, new. People are really friendly. So, it's awesome.
Yeah. That whole area was just awesome. That was cool. I'm looking forward to going back.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Unless you guys got more questions, I bet Mark wants to go. I mean, is it getting late for you, Mark?
Yeah,
it's almost my bedtime. Yeah,
Yep.
It is
almost time to put the phone on do not disturb.
Yeah, I asked Mark if he could get on with us at this time, and he said it better not be too long because you're going to be tapping into my sleep. So.
No, we really appreciate you being on here, being transparent with everything, and we're excited, and most of all, I think everybody here appreciates what you're doing for the West Coast because without you taking that big leap for the anglers, we really, I mean, there's other great circuits, but it's really cool to have this opportunity out here and watch it grow.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. Really do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
The Northwest is feeling it.
I listen to your guys' other podcasts, and you're always talking positive about the trail, and you know, and I appreciate that. It makes me feel good.
Yeah, we're grateful. Like I said, we needed it. I honestly think the Northwest needed it. Our industry, especially up there, needed it. So yeah,
I'm excited to go to the Northwest. You know, that's cool. And I'm excited to go to the desert. You know, I mean, we've had lots of tournament circuits around the West, which is great because that's where most of the anglers are. But, you know, it'd be great to build the desert and the Northwest and build those up and, you know, really, really, you know, bring bass fishing to the West Coast. And
yeah, Yuma again. If you did Yuma again, that was cool.
Yuma's cool. Yep.
Yeah.
They had a 100-boat tournament there not very long ago. So I think that could sustain a Pro-Am or a Super 60 event.
You just got to let us have aluminum boats.
Jake just wants to go run around in his underwear again on a sandbar.
It was kind of like we could talk about it in another episode, but when we showed up there, I'm like, this is the true Wild West of bass tournaments. Like one tiny little bar with one door. Like there was a fist fight on the way in and on the way back out. Like, where are we camping out? I called them and asked them where hey, do you guys have reserved camping? And the lady laughed at me and hung up, and I had no idea why. And then you get there and you realize it's just desert. There's no plug-ins. You just park. You know what I mean? Wherever you fall out of your ATV for the night is where you sleep.
That was the bonus. The guy goes, I'm going to let these guys camp for free. I'm like, oh, cool.
And then you get there and you're like,
it's a desert.
He doesn't own the desert. He couldn't charge anybody if he wanted. We just kept driving down this dirt road trying to find, get far enough away from the partiers so that we could get some sleep. We never got far enough away. It didn't matter. But it was freaking fun.
That was a cool event. A lot of people there. A lot of spectators. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, rowdy ones too. That was cool. Yeah. I told my wife, I'm like, you got to see this crowd. This is cool.
They run around on four-wheelers and drink beer all day. So, you know, you get a little excited.
That was a cool event. And the body of water was crazy too. So anyways, talking fishing. Thank you again, Mark. Super grateful.
Oh, appreciate it.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for being here, bud. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, cool. See you guys.
The man.
Well, there you go.
A man. I mean, there's a visionary part to what he's doing. I don't know if he knows it or not, but it's there.
I
never sees a ceiling. I'll say that.
Well, and he was smiling when he was talking about it. Like, he's beating the hell out of himself, but there's some, I don't know if he's just completely lost his marbles, so he's smiling about it, or if he's truly happy, but it looks like he's into what he's doing.
I don't know. I think next week will be cool. I'm trying to do nothing but trying to make sure Alpha and everything is straight up so that just to go enjoy that tournament. Because last year, the Pro Tour was fun. This is going to be a little bit more like, you better be on your A game. There's guys there that make 10 more mistakes than you and still finish higher than, you know what I mean? There's guys like Bryant who can't even probably put the same shoes on, probably going to show up with the same, one sock missing, and he's still better than most guys on, you know what I mean? There's a lot of those guys. So Tournament Jake. I'm going to have
Tournament Jake. I can't wait to not talk to him.
I know.
Well, my wife's going. So Tournament Jake's only so tough.
I'm just glad he's staying 20 minutes away from us, Brian.
Oh, my God.
Well, when the girls go, it's a lot more fun, but.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to have them throw you off your game so bad.
I make sure they're not pulling any of their ninja mind tricks on you, because they're wising up.
Yeah. Hey, girls, set your alarms for 1 o'clock, 1:30, 1:45, 1:50.
Oh, dude, I got a story. About your phone. So in our league, you have to have your phone has to be charged, right? The last thing you want to do is have your phone start to die, because if you're on a keeper count day, you're taking tons of pictures. Well, we're at the Columbia River, and I go to bed that night, and I'm plug the phone in. Yeah, the phone's charging. I wake up at 1 o'clock and the phone is stuck at 80%. And I'm like, something's wrong. I was so mad. Went outside, grabbed my jump box, different cables. I work on it for probably an hour. Bo's laughing. I know why you're laughing. some programmer decided that it should have adaptive charging, so it pays attention to your sleep habits and only fills it to 80% until an hour before you wake up, and then it puts the last 20% in, so the battery has a longer lifespan. That dude sucks. I'm not kidding, dude. Just running around in my underwear, grabbing junk box out of the freaking boat, like, my phone won't charge. I'm like, sure, my phone would die in a tournament where I think the first day I caught like 80 some fish. I'm like, and when I got in, I used my phone so much that day I was down to like 20%. Mm-hmm. It's adaptive charging. Whoever was like, I'm gonna find the guy that dreamt that up. Oh yeah.
Bring a charging cable. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
And don't drop your phone in the lake or you're fishing for 5.
Have a spare.
Yeah, have a spare.
I've got a spare phone.
I got one of those old Galaxy iPads that you can connect to LTE. My parents got one years ago when they signed up for their plan. Dude, I messed with that thing for about 15 minutes and threw it right in the trash. My dad's like, is that thing going to work? I could never get it to work. I'm like, it'll never work again. Not at my house. All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah, this was good.
Next we cast. When next we cast, are we going to be all in one place?
I guess we'll see what we do when we get there.
We could do a live show.
Now he's thinking about it. Do you remember what he said at the beginning, Bryant?
Tournament Jake.
Tournament Jake. Yeah.
Can we just start calling you TJ around the events? Like, can we just call you, like, is TJ around? Where's TJ?
I'm actually starting to grow a little bit more fond of the Blam.
Oh boy. You did good. You only had one little baby Sonic rant today.
Yeah, it was only one Sonic rant.
All right.
Boy.
Well, I must move to helping with homework and finishing my boat
project. What's the subject tonight? Are we doing math?
We're doing circuits, electrical circuits.
Electrical circuits.
Mm-hmm. Wattage in parallel and series.
Are you taking them out to the boat and using, this is how we...
My poor boat's still in shambles. Like I only do it once a year and I always forget. It's like women. They have a baby and it's like horrible. And the Lord makes them forget. That's why they keep having babies. I forget that I hate working on my boat. Something makes me forget that it's generally within a year. I'm like, what would be a good idea? I should do this. And then like 4-6 hours into it, I'm like, this is dumb. Why'd I do this again? Like, why am I working? Like, I partnered with some of the best riggers in the Northwest. Like, I could just take it to Blake, but about 7 rolls of electrical later.
You just compare working on your boat to women having children?
No, I was comparing how they forget.
That is 100% what you did.
No. I was comparing about how you do something horrible and then we're off done. Listen, I went two layers too deep for you guys, so
no.
No, there was a moment.
Was over by the time you started.
Well, and this is how I found this out. There was a moment after our daughter was born that my wife looked at me and said, I think we should have another one. And I was like, who are you? And what did you do? Like, do you don't remember the last 12 months? Like, yeah. And our girls are less than 2 years apart. So she had to forget something. But now here we are. Now you've just got me in trouble with every woman that doesn't listen to this podcast.
You did that to yourself.
That 2% demographic just went by.
2%'s tanked. Dang it.
There's going to be 1.5 women that are really mad at you.
One of them's in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to tell your wife.
She just heard it through the
wall.
The
girls. You're done.
I will. I'm done.
Yeah.
You'll at least you'll have another reason to not show up to Phaedra.
I'm going to be there.
But hey, Brian, if he's upset her enough, then you're gonna have a spot in the cramper.
Oh, perfect. I don't think that. Oh yeah, the girls will freaking tape you to the roof.
That's fine. It's gonna be nice out. It might help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring your shorts.
Love it. All right. Before I get in any more trouble, I'm out of here.
Bye, boys.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the AlphaBassCast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and rate us. We'll see you next time.